All right. I want to get to this story because it's another one of those where you kind of sit back and go, why is this happening? What's the real reason here? Christina Smith, the mayor of Westmount, and she has been for the past 8 years, has decided not to run again. She announced this on Friday. And my initial reaction, and Christina Smith is on the line. Mayor, thank you for taking the time.
I'm happy to be here with you.
My initial reaction was, why is this happening? And why do we keep hearing, particularly women in public office and politics, making decisions like these? And of course, I hearken back most recently to Valerie Plante's decision to decide she's not going to run again. Now, she did not say it had anything necessarily to do with reaction on social media, but we also know that after a lot of that kind of reaction, negative, threatening reaction, she decided to close down her online page, her comments section in her social media page. So with respect to you, was this an issue? Is it getting a lot nastier in politics for women?
Well, I don't know about that. And certainly you're not the first. Anyone who's been asking me about this keeps coming back. All the journalists keep coming back to that very issue. Is it getting nastier? Is it harder for women? What I can tell you definitively is that it has certainly changed over the 12 years that I've been in municipal politics. The misinformation that is out there has obviously changed dramatically. Like we've seen obviously a lot of info about your city gets shared on, community pages, things like that. And so often it's not true, or it's just people, trying to make stuff up or make nasty comments about you. I wouldn't say that that's not why that's not why I've decided on this. And that's not why I've decided now, where it is 9 months out from the election. People were sort of like saying, why now? Why wouldn't you wait till June to decide if you want to do this? And it is something that I definitively knew, like Valerie, that I didn't want to do. I wasn't in this. Couldn't guarantee the same effort necessarily over the next 4 years. And then there's other things I want to do at this stage in my career. And I think 2 terms as mayor for me was certainly an honor, a privilege. We worked really hard. We got a lot of stuff done. But I think change is good for municipalities as well.
I would ask a couple of questions. Number one, when you say things have changed, then you describe how they've changed. Obviously, they haven't changed for the better.
Well, I think we can all agree that, you're so much more accessible than they used to be. I mean, you can get me on, 5 different platforms. You can email me. You can, there's any number of ways that you can get in touch with us. And it's just easier to be, to be a little, a little more aggressive in some of those instances. So yeah, I wouldn't say that is not at all for the better. And look what Mark Zuckerberg said last week. Facts don't matter anymore, and certainly the fact checking doesn't matter anymore. So I don't think that's good for municipal politics either. And we're the level of government that's closest to the people. We have obviously the day-to-day impact on your life is at the municipal level, but it's also the level of government where you're completely accessible. The general public or the population can't go to question period in Ottawa and ask the Prime Minister questions, because obviously that wouldn't be feasible. But in municipal life, you can, and it's such an important part of the process to be able to hear from citizens, but you have to do it in a respectful way.
Well, back in the day when you wanted to hear from citizens, they'd show up at city council meetings. Now it's just easier to sit there, be a keyboard warrior and say or ask what you want to do. And I imagine that's pretty disheartening.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, listen, to get into these jobs, you have to know that that's going to come your way. You have to have a thick skin. There's no denying that. But, it can wear you down, and it can make, some of the things, the important things that you want to work on can sometimes get distracted by this. And that's unfortunate. But I think it's, I don't think there's any shortage of talent in Westmount. And I think a lot of people will still want to serve their communities. And, the real risk, though, is that if we continue down this path, that who's not going to step up, and who's not going to serve because they don't want to deal with this kind of thing.
Yeah, and by the way, to that point,
which I've heard from other people, right?
Exactly.
They'll read our local. I'm sure you're familiar with the Westmount Independent, so they'll read the local Westmount Independent, which is full of letters to the editor every week. It's sort of what one of the main sections of the paper. And it will often, it's often very critical. And so, a person said to me, I just don't want to see my name in the paper like that. So I'm not gonna step up, but I still want to be involved in my community.
Were you ever directly threatened?
Was I directly threatened, like physically threatened?
Well, I mean, through an email, through a text message, anybody, talking about physically getting involved and threatening you that way?
No, I mean, we've had, I think what was also well documented in the press is that we had a resident who showed up to my house daily with sort of hateful messages that he was putting through my neighbors' mailboxes. And there's not a lot you can do about it in that sense. Is that, his free speech is protected. He's driving around in a van with my face in it, pictures of me in it. But when he did approach my, at the time, 11-year-old daughter, that's when obviously it went too far. And he was actually arrested. It is people don't want to deal with that.
I can imagine they don't. That's the same situation I think Sue Montgomery went through, right, when she was mayor in NDG Côte-de-Neiges. Having someone show up at your house all the time and nothing police could do.
Yeah, I mean, this is, sort of daily. This man showed up and would, go to my neighbors' houses and things like that. So obviously people don't want to deal with that. And the police were, very quick to act when it came to my daughter. But we have to find a better way to manage our municipal politics in that sense, for sure.
I would mention, by the way, that
also, I don't want to focus just on the negative. There's so many incredible things that you can do and how you can serve your community. And it's so important. All the infrastructure work that needs to be done in these cities needs to be done by councils that are willing to do the hard work, to take the steps that are necessary to improve our cities. Because, in many cases, we're in a very, very critical time.
I will mention, and then I'll move off the point, but, you talk about, I mentioned Valerie Plante, I mentioned Sue Montgomery, someone, of course, you're talking about now. Last I checked, there were over 100 politicians, public service officials across the province who got into this for the right reason and then decided, you know what, I don't want to have to put up with this anymore. Clearly, you're not alone, which is why I asked the question off the top if this is one of the motivating factors. If it wasn't, you're suggesting it wasn't, you said you have other things to do. Does that mean other levels of politics, or are you done with politics?
No, I don't know. I'll never be done with politics, but I think it's also, we should normalize people not necessarily staying in these roles their entire careers, right? If you step up to serve, and we saw this a lot in Ottawa recently, where people were declaring, I'm not running again. And it's, and why? And I was like, maybe we should just normalize that a decade in public service in that role is a good thing. And change can be, you don't want wholesale change where, nobody has any institutional knowledge of anything, but I've done this for 12 years, 4 as a councillor and then 8 as a mayor. And I think new leadership in terms of the mayor is going to be a good thing for the community, a good thing for the city, and opens up probably some spots on council as well. And I think that's a good thing. And I ran my first election. I was considered the outsider. I ran against somebody who went to every city council meeting, knew, every public council, all of that. And I was, significantly younger and was sort of the newbie that nobody thought would win. And I did win. And then I had a hard fought mayor election. And then I was acclaimed the second time. But the first time was a hard-fought mayor election. But I think these things nobody should be here forever. That's,
fair enough.
I guess, part of my message. But it's an incredible thing to do for your community. So I don't regret it for a second.
Well, listen, we're out of time. I wish you well wherever you end up to decide to go next.
Stay tuned.
So, we'll find out for sure. Thank you so much for your time, Mayor. Appreciate it.